Okay, so we have a democracy, quote unquote, where members of Congress spend anywhere between 30 and 70% of their time raising money to get back to Congress or to get their party back into power. And that process of sucking up to the tiny fraction of the 1% who are writing them checks, maybe 100,000 Americans, changes them.
Oh, yeah.
And changes,
oh, yeah, it's terrible.
And changes the ability of our democracy to function. So the first core question to think about when we think about how we're going to reform this democracy is, what do we do to change the way we fund campaigns?
Yeah, so I know he's going to like this because I checked it with him. So my plan to help restore our democracy is to give every American adult $100 democracy dollars every year that you can only give to candidates and campaigns, and you use it or lose it. So it disappears if you don't spend it. But what you just said about calling people and sucking up for money is exactly right. It is soul crushing. I have had the unfortunate experience of calling a rich person and asking them for money, and I hated it, and I was like, I really would not like to do that again. And so if we can make it so that if I get, how many people are in this auditorium? Let's call it several hundred. So if I were to get several hundred people behind me, let's call it, I'll make it a bigger number, let's call it 10,000 people here in New Hampshire behind me, and you all had $100 you could give to a campaign, then that would be $1 million. And then I could spend all of my time trying to figure out how to represent you and serve your interests, as opposed to calling some 1%er and asking them for $20,000. So if you align the money and the people, then that changes the responsiveness of your representatives. But right now, the brutal truth is that I have to do something to appeal to the people, and then I have to go to my car and then call people for money. And that is going to destroy us. Now, I'm actually giving you a hypothetical because I actually don't call anyone for money when I go back to the car. I have my campaigns now raising hundreds of thousands of dollars in increments of only $18. So my fans are even cheaper than Bernie's. Thank you for all the Yang Yangers here, and thank you for being cheap. It's beautiful. But because of my cloud of supporters, I do not have to have that soul-crushing experience of calling some rich person and sucking up to them for money. And as a result, my motivations are very pure, and that's what we have to do for every congressperson. And for the life of me, I do not understand, because if you get them alone and you say, hey, do you like calling people and sucking up for money? They're like, oh no, I hate it. Where's part of the job? And it's like, then why don't we just get rid of it? And then there's like, oh, it's just the way the system is, or something like that. And it's so dumb. I'll tell you, if I had to spend 30 to 70% of my time doing something I thought was brutalizing and not in the public interest, I'd be trying to get rid of it immediately.
Yeah, so the biggest reason they don't get rid of it is uttering the words you just uttered takes real courage. Because the reality is, we know how politics works. People who start talking about solving this problem the way you're talking about solving this problem are attacked immediately as people trying to give out welfare to politicians. So when you get hit with the welfare to politicians argument, what are you going to say in response? How are you going to defend that argument?
I'll say, look, this helps align incentives for elected leaders to represent the people that put them into office, as opposed to having to curry favor with rich corporate interests or individuals that can then buy access to them on the side.
Okay, so the consultants say